Okay, let's look at cleaning an image like this up. So we're just going to save this in our downloads, and we're going to name it Big Buck. I'm going to call it Big Buck Bust. All right. And we're going to look at it. So it's 1254 by 1254. So it's pretty big. Seems to be decent quality. So we're just going to open that up and upscale and just upscale at 5x. Get it on out there to 6270 by 6270. Okay. And then we're just going to pop that guy open in Photoshop. And, looking at an image like this, I don't know if you want to save the scratches or not. I mean, if it's going on a t-shirt, you could certainly have some scratches like that. And there's certainly some things we could do to add scratches like that. But I'll just act like we're going to get rid of them, I think. And so, what I'm going to do is I just, use my magic wand with contiguous on and just select it once, and it's gone right up to the edges of all these, to the edges of the artwork. And I'm just going to hold shift and I'm just going to do these parts that are nearby and just select all those as well. So I'm just, holding shift and I'm just going nearby. I mean, I could really get detailed oriented with this, or I could just kind of, do a pretty good job here and select all this stuff, because basically I'm just trying to get rid of I'm definitely going to want to isolate the buck from the scratches. We could worry about doing the scratches separately if we wanted to, but the thing to do is just get in close to do the hard parts, that are around the antlers and stuff. Just go ahead and get those. It's all in what you want too. I mean, it's really hard to do the job that we do at the team, with the team at Crystal DTF, because we don't know what the customer wants. So we're just kind of making it up and imagining. And it's really hard to just describe to somebody else what you want done to your artwork, But I am going to isolate these scratches and just go around all this. See, I'm just circling way big circles after I do what I call the hard parts, where it's like close in. All right. So I'm just getting all this stuff. Oops, I really messed up there, and I'll show you how to deal with that. So I just messed up right there. So I'm just going to go in, and I'm going to hold Alt, and I'll actually use my magnetic lasso, and I'll hold Alt, and I'll start inside. So I'm holding Alt to subtract, and we'll just use that magnetic lasso and go right around and fix that right up. And that's the same thing that we would do with any parts like this. If you wanted to preserve that chip, of course, you could draw that back in. I'm going to select this, and I'm just going to hold Alt and just at least keep that part, And that's what I'm going to do everywhere where there's a problem. Like I see this as a problem right here. So I'm just going to hold Alt. And you don't have to do too much at once. You can always just do a little bit and then stop and then bring it back in. So just do a little bit of the hard part and then stop. Oops. I'm just going to hold Alt and save all of this that's been selected that we didn't want. There's a little piece in there. And just going to go all the way around and make sure that all the parts are deselected that we don't want to actually delete. So like something like this. See if there's any more over here. And I literally would just go around all the edges and follow all up and down each one of these spots and make sure that everything's selected that I want to delete, and that everything is deselected that I don't. So like right there, see, I'm just making a decision to go down that whole path there. And I'm going to save this. See, I'm drawing inside the line. I'm not following it precisely. I'm using that margin of error. that line was gifting me. And I can just do this piece at a time. Don't have to do it all at once. See, I'll just draw around all that. And it seems easy for me because I've got a lot of skill doing it, but also I've got my mouse speed way down. Okay, and I can just keep looking. I'm holding the space bar, and that's it's transforming into the hand for me. That's how you move around in Photoshop. If you're using Photopea, you want to use the middle mouse button. So I'm just going to go around this. I'm just going to decide where these lines end. I'm just, making sure I'm in control of it. I can just draw that back in because that's white hair. Or I can decide that's white hair. See, I can just draw that in if I want to keep it. Boom. All the way around this guy. I think we're doing pretty good. I'm going to check these top antlers because I just feel like, oh, there's a problem right there. Shift, select. Magic wand, hold shift and select. And then there's some chunks right here that I see that are missing that I want to just keep. So we'll just draw those in. Okay. I'm feeling pretty good about it. Now, one thing that's helping, of course, is that we're at such a great big size. And I'm just going to, there's a little bit of marching ant right there. I'm going to get that. All right, I'm just going to hit Control. Well, I'm going to do Select, Modify, and I'm going to expand by 1 pixel just to get inside the edges. And then Control C, and then Control Shift V. Now, I didn't actually, I needed to invert. All right, Control Shift I, because I was selecting around the outside. Control C, Control Shift V. If you watch my tutorials, you'll see me make that mistake every single time. Now, I've just turned off this background layer. I haven't actually altered this layer right here. I've just copied from it and made this new layer. And I'm just going to add, I'm going to double click this and add a stroke around the outside. Okay, and I'm going to make it a hot pink magenta color. And that is going to identify all the places where I missed things. So I'm going to take that stroke down a little bit. But now we can see all the spots where I didn't deselect that background. Okay, and I'm just going to grab my eraser tool and go to town on them. So I'm just going to erase them. There's some little nobules there. Let's get rid of those. So the stroke identifies them for you, and it makes it really easy to just come in and use a hard eraser and just get rid of them all. And I remember as I was selecting things, I really didn't get into these little spots, or I didn't get in there good enough. So I'm just looking for that. See, that little bump went away. All right, we'll just clean all these up. This is what I say about every image being different. And I don't know, what you're trying to achieve. Like, what color shirt we're putting this on, what's going to look good. We can help with all that stuff if we know all those things. But we don't here. Okay. And now I've got that cleaned up. So see, this is an image that has thousands of colors. So if we clicked our little tool and we started picking colors, just watch it jump here as I click around. You got thousands of colors. To me, this is not a good candidate for vector tracing because you're just going to lose those details. It would make millions of nodes in order to draw around all these little shapes with vector. That would be so difficult. It's certainly doable. But it would be something that would just be a tremendous project and probably take a supercomputer to do it really well. Oh, look, there's another little spot. And there's another little spot. And there's another little spot. And there's a little bump. See a little bump? Just going to get rid of that. And then I'll take this stroke and bring it in a little tighter. I think we've got this thing pretty clean. I'm not seeing anything there. Okay. And so now what if I wanted, so now I can actually lock this. Let's look at it against black. Hang on. Let's do that. Let's do a solid color, a pure black. And that's going to showcase any mistakes I might have made where we see like a white halo and there's nothing. It looks good. Um, Now, if I wanted to add that, keep that texture, how would I do that? So I'm going to control click this layer. And that's just selecting the whole buck. And then I'm going to duplicate this layer. This is that background. I don't want to mess with that background. I'm going to name this layer buck. I'm going to clear that layer style because I don't need it anymore. And I'll turn that guy off. And then with that selection going, I'm going to do select, expand. Let's do modify, expand. I'm going to go 15 pixels. And then I'm going to try to get Photoshop to just remove it. What I'm hoping for is that Photoshop will actually remove the buck and maybe draw more of the specks and understand that I just want those dust and scratches. I'm trying to get the dust and scratches to be like its own layer. And by getting rid of that buck, then I can do all sorts of fun things. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to merge down what that remove tool just did. I'm just going to move this up to the top because it's my new project here. So now let's convert this. Let's do layer. Yeah, I just want to be able to do image adjustments, black and whites. Yeah, I'm just thinking about what I need to do. I probably need to save my PSD. That's the right thing to do. Let's save it. This is going to be my big butt bust. And I'm going to save it. And then I'm going to do image adjustments. Well, I'll select that layer and see if I can do it. Image adjustments, black and whites. So if I just start pushing all this stuff towards black, so I'm pushing the reds towards black, the yellows towards black, the greens, the cyans, the blues, and the magentas. It really should have made everything that was a color black. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so now let's use this. Let's export this. We're going to export this as Big Buck Bust Scratches. Trace. Okay? And then I'm going to pop into Inkscape and show you how to use Inkscape to preserve those scratches and do it right. So Inkscape is now going to do our scratches for us. And I'm just dragging that giant image. It's actually quite big. 6,000 pixels in. Okay, so there's the image. I'm going to hit Control-Shift-R to fit to that image size. And then I'm going to go to my trace bitmap. And it's going to trace those scratches for me. So I'm just going to hit Apply. And now I can delete this. And now I've got a vector copy of those scratches. So I can actually just save this as. I'm going to save this, put it in my downloads. I'm going to call it Big Buck Bust Scratches. And it's an SVG. And now I can bring that back. I don't need this anymore. I'll just leave it, just preserve it for posterity. Let's look at our buck again. And then I'm going to select this layer right here. And I'm going to bring those scratches in. I'm just dragging the SVG in. So there's the SVG. I'm just going to drag it and drop it on the stage. And it's going to fit perfectly because of the way I did all that. The way I actually copied that. And now I can control the color of the dust and scratches. And they'll all be one color. So I should do blending options. And I could do not a stroke mic. I could do a color overlay. And I could choose, like maybe a brown, if I wanted all of them to be brown. So anyway, that's not having a huge effect. And I'm not sure why. Let's look at it. I guess it is working, but it's just I chose such a deep brown that it's pretty much close to black. So I could go with a lighter brown and we could see that. Just have it all be that consistent color. And yeah, so I mean, that's, kind of the finished artwork there. So, um, yeah, I hope this was helpful. And I love the fact to see people working on their own artwork. And I like to try to show them how I would approach it because sometimes, they'll work with it for a while and they'll learn the image. That's what I call that. And then, I can come in and maybe show them a different way to look at it and how to take care of it properly. So, or at least what I think is proper. All right. Hope that helps. Take care.